So I'm just here with Anthony from GS Building. We've done a bunch of work with them over probably the last, I'd say, almost 12 months now. And just wanted to really ask him a few questions about how that's all been going. So Anthony, do you want to give me a bit of a one-sentence snapshot about you guys and what you do?
Sure. We are a commercial carpentry company servicing Tier 1 and Tier 2 head contractors in the market. There's three pillars of services we offer: site establishments, A-class hoardings, and just general commercial carpentry.
Perfect. Awesome. And in terms of when we first started having a conversation, I think it was earlier this year, actually.
Yep.
What were the core challenges in terms of from an operational, reporting, administrative standpoint that you guys are really struggling with at that time?
I think the fact that the reports were more of a snapshot in time once a month, and the amount of effort, manual, data entry and collating of various different data sources to put a report together took an immense amount of time, and it was a snapshot of one point in time. So it wasn't a live feed. And if there was an error or something was wrong, or there were changes a few days or a week or two after, those reports were redundant. So they were the big challenges for us to be able to move, act, and make decisions quickly and accurate.
Okay. And what impact did that have on you in terms of being able to not maybe move as fast or as accurately as you'd like to?
I think it was just it probably impacted the business in terms of strategic decisions. So with inaccurate data, it was difficult to know when we should pull the trigger on employing a new estimator, measuring the volume of quotes going out the door, leads generated. So those were the things that could have been impacted, and I'm sure were based off of the data that we're working with.
Yeah, perfect. And I think one of the other key things that you guys mentioned early on was that not only was it like your day or a couple of days a month in terms of pulling together the manual reports, but it was also like it was after the fact. So you didn't really ever have it potentially when you needed it, and it was kind of more retrospective as well. So
that's a good point. Yeah, we get the report at the end of the month.
Yeah.
But sorry, we'd need the report at the end of the month. That would be the snapshot point, but it'll actually be in our hands on the 7th or 10th of the month after. So it was lagging in that sense for sure.
Totally. And then in terms of working with us, what was your experience like from a customer client perspective, and what did you love the most?
Experience was good. The attention to detail was great. There was really good collaboration between us. There's a saying, no one knows your business as good as yourself. So, being able to take on board a lot of the input I gave through the layers of revisions to get it to where we were was key to get this to the point that it is now, and the accuracy that it is now. So that level of quick responses to those layers of drafts and revisions were really good to push the project forward. It was a big job, and I believe that it exceeded our expectation. I didn't expect it to be so tied into the existing softwares that we were using. So having that, feed into a live dashboard from multiple different sources and take away the manual data. I think when we initially spoke, we said, if you could remove 80% of the manual labor and automate that, and we do 20%, it'd be a happy balance. But I think we're at about 95% automation and 5% manual labor, and that manual labor is just every employee updating what they need to update to let management know where they are in certain tasks. So that was huge.
And so in terms of like the impact now, or the value on an outcome level, like how does this fit in the greater conversation? Obviously the pandemic has had an impact on everyone across the board on a business level, but in terms of you guys, in terms of growth, in terms of scalability, in terms of efficiency, productivity, what are some of the key things that you're seeing more and more as part of that value?
Of the dashboards completed?
Yeah, and obviously as a result of that value, right?
Huge key indicators that this dashboard's given us in order to look at every department of the company and understand key KPIs. So if you look at you know, the estimating department and how many quotes are going out per day, and then the sales department and what the hit rate is, and tying that back into goals and targets and achieving that. So for me, knowing and understanding, you know, what everybody's output is and making sure that I can lead and manage that, so that we don't burn out, overwork staff. We know when to employ new staff. So these dashboards are teaching me, and I'm learning the patterns of the business in a way that I've never been able to see the numbers before. Because I can see them live, and I can see the numbers versus what's happening in the business and how everybody's working and where the stress points are, where the pressure is, and yeah, I'm actually learning a lot about the business off the back of these dashboards than I have in the past.
Massive. Was there anything that you thought initially? Like, I know you were, one of your comments initially, you're like, I'm a bit kind of not sure if you guys can actually achieve what you're saying you're going to achieve. Like, was there anything that you were, other than what you've already mentioned, you were kind of really surprised by, in terms of the result or the value or how it's gone?
I think visually it's been exceeding our expectations, in terms of, you know, the revisions towards the end of the dashboard, where we started adding, you know, 12-month rolling averages, and you guys were pulling data 3 years back, and rolling it into a trend line on the graphs, and that I calculated that and figured it out and created a spreadsheet. I didn't expect you guys to be able to quickly turn that around and throw it in the graph and pull that automatically. So automation being one, the key thing, and the second thing was the ability to really pull in the different features and overlays onto the metrics and graphs that I didn't think would be as easy. You guys sort of made it a lot easier.
Awesome. And the last question, I know in terms of like the dashboard, at the end of the day, is a tool, right? It's really about the outcome and the impact to a business. Some of the things we were talking about earlier around like what you're kind of looking forward to moving forward in terms of the integration in the team. What's the biggest thing there for you in terms of where you see that playing out?
I think these metrics. So each department has its own dashboard, and you know, our employees within that department have access to them. So it's going to be a real, you know, generate a lot of discussions in our weekly and monthly meetings, and those discussions are going to, you know, just produce different key indicators that we're going to look for and enable us to talk internally as a team and how to set targets and generate quality conversations in meetings. Yeah. That's going to be one of the biggest things, and we'll probably continue to update the dashboards as well as we have these discussions with internally. We'll find out, you know, what we'd like to overlay into the dashboards that's going to serve, you know, other indicators that will push the business towards its goals.
Yeah, perfect, awesome. Thank you so much, Anthony. Really appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you.